Hi, this is Dr. Dan Ritchie from Train Mature Clients. Today I want to talk to you about hip fractures and why that's such a significant health issue facing our nation. If you think about hip fractures and the incidence, it has rapidly risen in the early 2000s. In the late 90s, we used to see about 250,000 hip fractures a year. In the early 2000s, that number has grown to over 300,000. It's anticipated by the year 2020, we will be seeing over 500,000 hip fractures annually. And if you think about the cost of each hip fracture and the strain that that is placing on our medical system, it really is a huge, huge national health problem. Now, if we think about hip fracture related to breast cancer, a woman's risk of hip fracture is actually higher than her risk of breast cancer. But it doesn't get near the attention, it's not as exciting, it's not as glamorous. You don't see fundraisers for preventing hip fractures, but fundraisers for breast cancer are everywhere. So just to put that in perspective, a woman's risk of hip fracture is actually significantly higher than her risk for breast cancer. And hip fracture alters people's lives. In fact, 1 out of 4 people that suffer a hip fracture never fully recover. They either don't return to living in their own home, or they actually die within a year of that hip fracture. So it's a significant life event. Now, we don't see on death certificates cause of death, hip fracture, but we know that someone can be leading a fairly robust and active life. They have a hip fracture, and in the next year, they physically decline, and within a year, they're actually gone. So it's a significant, significant life-altering event. So as fitness professionals, what does this mean to us? Well, it means there's a huge opportunity to help reduce hip fractures by teaching clients how to be stronger, but also how to be more balanced, more powerful, and more mobile. So in a series of videos, we're going to talk about how do you strength train older adults to reduce hip fractures, how do you train for balance, how do you train for mobility, and how do you train for power? Because it's not just about getting the older client stronger. That in and of itself will not reduce hip fractures. It's the combination of strength, power, balance, and mobility. This is Dr. Dan Ritchie from Train Mature Clients. I hope you check back often, as we're going to have tons and tons of content for you. Thanks, and see you soon.